Hello and welcome to Spread Book Joy. Today I'm doing the Atwood Adventure Tag. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jack. If you're not new, welcome back to Spread Book Joy. And today I am pleased to be doing an original tag created by Jolene over at Bookworm Adventure Girl. I was lucky to be tagged by the marvellous AJ Dunn. AJ Dunn Reads and Writes, and I'll link their channel in the description box below, along with the original tag video and of course all the prompts if you want to do it yourself. So it's a really great tag, and let's get into it. Prompt 1. Before publishing her first collection of poetry in the early 1960s, Margaret Atwood had several other jobs, including working at summer camps. What was your first job? My first full-time job was as a bookseller, dream. Bookseller at Waterstones in Leadenhall Market in the City of London. So if you're not from London, the City of London, as it's called, is an area where the sort of financial district really is, and yeah, so it's kind of its own borough within the City of London, within the city that is London. So yeah, I worked there, and it was a great job because it was retail, but because it was in the City of London, which is only open Mondays to Fridays, it was like the shifts were either 8 till 5 or 9 till 6, Monday to Friday. Didn't work weekends because the shop wasn't open. So it's kind of like a dream retail job. Plus being a bookseller, you get a big book discount. And yeah, it's just, I really enjoyed being a bookseller for Waterstones. I worked for them for 2 years full-time and 3 years part-time when I went to uni. So I was full-time, went to uni, got a part-time job at one of their other stores. Yeah, it was a great time. But I had loads of other jobs. I've done lots of retail work as a teenager during studying and things like that because, you know, needed money. So I worked for McDonald's, I worked for Safeway, I worked for Marks and Spencer, I worked at a bar in a nightclub, I worked as a paintball marshal, I did all sorts of things. So yeah, I had quite a lot of jobs before I became a teacher. But my first full-time job ever, bookseller. While growing up, Margaret Atwood's family spent several months each year living in the bush in northern Ontario. What is a survival skill that would have helped you survive living off the grid? None. I would die. I'm really not outdoorsy. I have no survival skills. Yeah, I'd be a really bad person to like get lost in like the wilderness with. I really don't like camping. I think I could do it for a night, but I don't like I'm quite squeamish. I don't like being dirty in any way, shape or form. I don't like mud. I don't like muck. I can deal with it for a walk, but I can't deal with it like living amongst it. It's one reason why also I've never really been to a festival, because I think I could have coped with it better when I was younger. I definitely wouldn't cope with it now. I don't like it. I like warm, like bathrooms to shower in. I don't, yeah, I just can't bear it. Yeah, the thought of camping, and that camping's not even wilderness, right? Really, if I was lost in the wilderness, I would just die. Just put it that way. All right, prompt number 3. Margaret Atwood grew up reading comic books. Do you have a favourite comic book or comic book character? No, but I did also grow up reading comic books. Every Saturday, my dad would go and he'd buy comic books, and he'd buy us sweets for the day, like crisps and chocolate. For Saturday afternoon, and we would get the Beano and the Dandy, which are like traditional kids comics in the UK, and we would also get another copy. He'd always buy us the Beano and the Dandy and a comic each that we wanted, so we shared the Beano and Dandy, and for a number of years I used to get Mandy, which is a girl's comic. I used to love it because it was always stories, and stories told in serial version, and so I loved that. But we also loved Garfield when I was younger because it was, you know, the 80s, who didn't? But yeah, I'm not got a particularly favourite. I do have a huge love and nostalgia for 2000 AD because my older brother read that from when it was released. I think first issue came out the year I was born in 1977, and he collected that right through for years and years and years. He had a huge collection of 2000 ADs, and me and my younger brother used to read them. I love Judge Dredd. Love the futuristic dystopian vision of the world. absolutely fantastic. At the moment though, I've also got like 3 big volumes of Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, which I got for my birthday this year, which I really enjoyed reading recently. So I don't read enough graphic novels and comic books as an adult, and I do want to read more. 4. Margaret Atwood is not only a poet and author, she also illustrated books and shown her creativity in so many other ways. What are some of the ways you are creative? Not as much as I'd like to be. For a few years there, I was crocheting a lot. I was doing lots of artwork and calligraphy and stuff like that, and I want to get back into it. YouTube, BookTube, and my Instagram kind of put paid to me doing any work. I think BookTube and Instagram are quite creative, but outside of that, making things, etc., I don't do enough of what I'd like to do. I want to have time to do some writing again, because I don't write for anybody but me generally, but I do enjoy the process of writing. I like to do some drawing. I'd like to, get back into that sort of thing. But yeah, BookTube takes up a lot of time. So I'm going to try and remedy that this year. When I started my BookTube channel, I used to include my artwork, but no one ever watched those videos. So, but it's a bit different now. So I might have people who might be interested. If you're interested, I might do some videos. Anyway, it might help me have a reason to do the artwork as well. Number 5, some of Margaret Atwood's writing is inspired by myths, folktales and fairy tales. What is your favourite myth, folktale or fairy tale, and why? I love myths, folktales and fairy tales, but I don't have a favourite. I like myths, fairy tales and folktales. I like the proto sort of, the fact that they're building blocks of story and humans explaining the world to themselves. I really love particular fairy tale imagery and books and things heavily based on fairy tales and myths. I love wolves in fairy tales, so I've got a really wolves in stories and wolves in general. I think I'm really drawn to stories like that. So I do like Little Red Riding Hood, the imagery from it, but I love the fact that wolves are heavily featured in Roman mythology, because it's, the legend is that Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, were suckled by a she-wolf. So wolves are really important to the Romans. They were a symbol of Rome, and Romans didn't even really apparently hunt wolves the way they would hunt other animals for sport or for whatever. They would only do it if they really needed to, if their livestock was threatened and stuff like that. So yeah, I do love the imagery of wolves in stories. Margaret Atwood's most well-known novel is The Handmaid's Tale. What is a task or chore you wish you had a maid or servant for? Laundry. Or I also dislike hoovering and dusting. Dusting drives me insane, especially when you've got loads of books. But yeah, laundry, I would definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, have someone do that. Prompt 7. The themes Margaret Atwood writes about have stayed consistent in all her writing for over 6 decades. She writes about the role of men and women in society, relationships, religion, marriage and identity, to name a few. If Atwood were to write a novel about you, what are some themes she would need to include? Family, relationships, social justice, kindness, identity. I think that's really important. That would be a theme. All of those things. Margaret Atwood has created words for her novels. She's talked about how this makes it difficult for translators of her work. Do you have a favourite word? Or what is your favourite? I don't have a favourite word, but I absolutely love learning about words for which there's no direct English translation. And a couple of examples that always stick out for me. There's a word called, which translates literally from Danish to tooth butter, which basically means butter that is spread so thickly that you leave teeth marks in it, which I love, because being Irish, I love butter on absolutely everything. The other thing is, and I can't remember which country it comes from, but it's a term which basically, I've seen it translated as bookworm, but the meaning is more than that. And it's basically, I read about it in a study on Swedish, I think it's Swedish? Anyway, some Scandinavian country, I think, where they have book clubs for children, and the literal translation is age. The literal translation is usually bookworm, but it means more like age of book devouring, where a child gets that sudden, like they've discovered the book, the thing, that they cannot put books down. And it's a very, very specific period in a child's life, so I love that word. By the way, if I've got any of these literal translations wrong and you are from any of these countries, please do let me know in the description box. It's just what I've read online, and in the case of the book devouring one, it was in a study that I read for my masters. So, prompt 9. Margaret Atwood was born in Canada and lives in Canada now, but she's also lived in other countries like the United States, England, France, Germany and Scotland. What countries have you lived in, and or what is another country you would like to live in? I've only ever lived in London, so I've never lived anywhere but England. I don't really think I would consider living in another country while I've got family so close around me and friends here, because yeah, I'd feel really kind of homesick for friends, my family and friends, but I wouldn't mind temporarily relocating somewhere if I didn't think it was permanent. Any of the other countries in the UK would be wonderful, and most countries in Europe, to be honest. Anything further than that I wouldn't consider, because I feel quite homesick if I go too far. I feel quite cut off from my family and friends. I feel like, you know, when I've been to, the only furthest I've been is the States, and I really enjoyed my time over there, but it just feels that bit too far away from everyone that I know and love. So yeah, Europe's fine though. Europe you can get to in a couple of hours, and yeah, I also loved France and Germany. Always gone over to them on holiday and thought, could live here. Margaret Atwood is an advocate for caring for the earth. What is something you do to help take care of our planet? Not enough, really. I recycle, of course, like everybody, and that's actually because, you know, it makes complete sense to, and the recycling system, particularly where I live, is very good. I try not to eat too much meat. I am a meat eater, but we made a conscious decision to not eat as much meat, not just for the planet but for our own health reasons, but it's really good for the planet. We try to source food locally, particularly meat, but meat, vegetables, we try not to add air miles onto our food, travel miles onto our food where possible. And yeah, I switched to reusable period care last year, which was a big adjustment, but I think a necessary one. And yeah, stuff like that really. Margaret Atwood is passionate about animal rights, and some of her writing has included animals and reflections on animals. What is a topic you are passionate about? Reading. And I don't just mean because I've got a booktube channel and I like to read. Reading is something that I've built my career around. Reading. I became a teacher because I am passionate about you know, helping children learn to read, for first and foremost. Primary school teaching, you teach every subject, which is wonderful, but the most important thing you can do is support a child to become a reader. And they'll be set up for life, because if you can read, you can access education, you can access all sorts of things. And not only that, becoming a reader just increases the your empathy. The level of enjoyment you get out of a book is phenomenal. As we know, it's a lifelong joy to be a reader, but it's been, research has shown it actually increases your life chances, your economic and social chances in life. So yeah, reading is vital. I'm hugely passionate about it. I did my master's research dissertation on reading and identity, and the importance of reading and the identity of becoming a reader. Yes, reading I'm very passionate about, and not just, like I said, talking about my own books and reading. I'm also quite passionate about supporting disadvantaged children in the education system and trying to level the playing field, which, you know, is hugely unequal. There's no such thing as a level playing field in the education system, particularly in this country. And yeah, I'm quite passionate about that. 12. Margaret Atwood is supportive of new authors in a variety of ways. Who is a newer author, and or what debut novel do you wish more people knew about? I don't read enough new authors, I'm afraid. So yeah, I can't really answer this one, but I do know Marilyn Meyer Mendoza, the baby boomer booktuber, she did this tag and she did a brilliant thing, and she was talking about some of the author tubers who I've watched as well, authors like Margaret Pinard, AJ Dunn, who's tagged me in this, and you know, promoting author tubers. So what I'm going to do is I will list all the author tubers that I follow in the description box below, and you can check out their channels. 13, tag some of your booktuber friends. I'm tagging anyone who hasn't done it, so tag, if you've not done it, tag your icks. I've seen lots of people have done it so far already. It's a really interesting tag, lots of thought-provoking questions, so well done, Jolene, it's really great. And if you are new here and you liked my rambling nonsense, please consider commenting, liking, maybe even subscribing, and hopefully I will see you again here soon. Bye!